Hello everybody, War here, coming at you with yet another deck profile. Today, we're going to be talking about Predaplants, the deck that technically came out in Invasion Vengeance, but really got its start in Fusion Enforcers. Let's jump right into the monster card lineup, alright? First up, I play one copy of Predaplant Fly Trap. This is one of the three Predaplants that originally came out in Innov. You can, once per turn, place a Predator counter on an opponent's monster, and when it battles something of a lower level, it destroys it immediately and gains its levels. Something to know about Predator counters that makes this actually useful is that anything with a Predator counter becomes level 1. That's just a little one of because it's a nice way to distribute Predator counters, and it's one more monster. You can play 2. I wouldn't recommend 3. But here's something I do recommend 3 of. Predaplant Clamido Sundew. Now, it can fuse using monsters on your side of the field in your hand, but it can also use monsters with Predator counters on your opponent's side of the field. And it treats those monsters as dark monsters. The only catch is that it has to use itself as one of the materials, but that's totally worth it. Next up, another 3 of Predaplant Saraceni Ant. When your opponent direct attacks, you can drop it from your hand. And then when this thing gets attacked, you can destroy the monster that attacked it. And when it's sent from the field to the graveyard, you get to search any Preda card. Here's one of the other Innov Predaplants, Predaplant Squidrocera. When it's sent face up from the field to the graveyard, you get to place Predator counters on all of your opponent's monsters, and you can discard one from your hand to make one monster able to attack each monster your opponent controls with Predator counters once each. Here's another Predator counter distributor, by the way. Predaplant Spinodionia. When it's normal summoned, you place a Predator counter. When it attacks and when it battles anything with a lower level, you get to summon a Predaplant straight out of your deck. So what I recommend is placing a Predator counter on one high-level monster, attacking a low-level monster, using its effect to summon Clamido Sundew, and then fusing with the originally high-level monster. One Predaplant Drosophilum Hydra. Now this one is like a kaiju, but it's in archetype. You can summon it to your side of the field by tributing a monster your opponent controls with a Predator counter. Now onto the non-Predaplant monsters. 3 Lone Fire. They're all plants, why not? And then 2 Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit. It's a tuner, it's a hand trap. What's not to love? Onto the spells. I play 1 copy of Predaponics. This is a continuous spell that lets you summon a level 4 or lower Predaplant from the hand or grave and negate its effects But during each of your standby phases, you have to pay 800 or destroy this card. So it's like a Miracle Fertilizer where you can actually use the things that you summon off of it without it dying. The catch is that you negate their effects. It's a good card. I play 1 of it because I don't like the part where it negates the effects, but you can play like 2 or 3. Here's what I do play 3 of that is revival in this deck, though. I play Preda Pruning. It's a premature burial for Predaplants with no cost. It's just an equip spell, and when you play it, you summon a Predaplant and equip it. 1 in a refusion. This one is literally premature burial, but for fusion monsters. 2 copies of Super Solar Nutrient. You contribute a level 2 or lower plant, and summon a plant that's up to 3 levels higher from your deck. 2 Allure of Darkness. Everything in the deck besides the Ghost Ogre is a dark. 2 Polymerization because it's a fusion deck. 1 Fusion Substitute because, again, this is a fusion deck. 1 Fusion Recovery to get back the Fusion Sub and Poly. 1 Flash Fusion. Now, this is very useful because if you go into Starving Venom Fusion Dragon and Flash Fusion destroys the monster at the end phase, you get off Starving Venom's effect and blow up your opponent's board. 3 Instant Fusions to summon Norden. If Theseus were less expensive, I'd probably run that too. 1 Battle Fusion. 1 Foolish Burial. I only play 3 traps. One of them is Predaplanet. You can, whenever a monster with a Predator counter leaves the field, you get to take a Preda card from your deck and add it to your hand. And once this card is in your graveyard, you can banish it to Fusion Summon using only Predaplants. Paradox Fusion, when your opponent would summon, or when a monster would be special summoned, or a spell or trap card effect would be activated, You can banish a fusion monster you control, and you negate it. And then two end phases later, you bring it back in attack mode. Phoenix Wing Wind Blast. Now, if you're not familiar with this one, it's just pitch a card, put a card in your opponent's field on top of their deck. I feel like bouncing things is pretty useful nowadays, so I just decided to run it. Onto the extra deck, I run 2 Predaplant Chimera Rafflesia, or Chimera Rafflesia as it's called here. It can banish a monster of a lower level. When it dies, you search a fusion card during the next standby phase. Or it can also search regular polymerization if you're into that. And then when it attacks, you lower your opponent's monster's attack by 1,000 and raise Chimera Rafflesia's by 1,000. 2 Starving Venom. One of these is a proxy because I don't have the second one on me right now. But yeah, 2 Starving Venom. I think we're all familiar with what this one does by now. 1 Greedy Venom Fusion Dragon. You summon it with a Predaplant and a level 8 or higher Dark. It says its original level has to be 8 or higher, but it does not say its original attribute has to be Dark. So you can hit like a Trishula that you put a Predator counter on or something like that, you know? You can summon this with Crystal Wing. You can summon this with your opponent's Crystal Wing. My point remains, though. You can target a monster, reduce its attack to 0, and negate its effects. When this dies, you get to blow up all the monsters on the board. Then you can banish a level 8 or higher Dark from your grave, summon it. So you're the one with the monster, your opponent is not. 1 Norden for the instant fusions, a Gachi, an Abyss Dweller, a Big Eye, a Castel, a Cowboy, and the rest of the extra deck is Synchro monsters, but I don't have any of them on me right now, unfortunately. But yeah, that was my Predaplant deck profile. Look at this mess; it's beautiful. I love these guys so much; they're so fun. I've been playing these all week. I've been playing these all week, fusing with some poor kids at schools. Beloved Odd Eyes. The Odd Eyes that is actually my deck because they borrow my stuff, but still. If you liked this profile, leave me a like, leave me a comment. Got any ideas for how the deck can be improved? And don't say Dragos Depelia. I know. I'm going to run triple Dragos Depelia, and you won't stop me. Mono out.